Black Star Radio. I'm going to be talking about a program that I saw online the other day and it really grabbed my interest. Now, these people are based in WA, but they are holding a Indigenous mapping workshop in Melbourne later this year. On the phone with me now, I've got the founder, Andrew Dowding, and also Marinda from Winyama on the phone. Hi, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
Now, I was absolutely fascinated. Indigenous mapping workshop. A mapping satellite, is it?
Yeah, it could involve satellites, and we hope to this year, but we're really talking about mapping platforms. We know Aboriginal communities use mapping software like ArcGIS and QGIS and Google Earth. So I don't want to get too technical, but it's basically, it's mapping of lands and heritage and like people's connection with country.
Okay, now Andrew, your background as well. Before we went to air, you were speaking that you were from the northern parts of WA, I believe?
Yeah, I'm from the Nulama group up in Roban and Karratha up in the Pilbara region of WA.
So your background is up there, then what, university? How did you get involved with the mapping?
I went to uni and I actually did anthropology as my degree. And after I did that, went up home to work in the heritage industry, so doing a lot of heritage surveys for Aboriginal corporations. And really, we started using Google Earth in those surveys, and I just really realised, the power of using, digital representations of country in these consultations with really senior elders. I just got to really understand mapping was a really powerful tool for Aboriginal people, and I used it to locate fishing grounds and stuff and just places that I used to go to. So just sort of evolved out of the work that I was doing, and then about 5 years ago just started a company just doing cultural mapping for Aboriginal corporations and ranger groups. And here we are sort of 5 years down the track, and we've realised that these are tools and platforms that we want to sort of teach to more people. And we got the opportunity when Google and Google Earth approached us and said, would you guys be interested in doing a mapping workshop across Australia with us? It really grew from there.
That's a pretty big recommendation. So it's basically using digital technology to look after the land?
Document, look after, manage.
How does it benefit a community or a ranger or maybe even a local remote council to look after their land?
Well, I think it really starts with, you've identified the types of organisations that are looking after land, like already ranger groups, native title organisations. These are organisations that are charged with looking after the health of the heritage and the culture of those areas, but also the environment as well. So they've got a lot of things to manage, and we just knew that those organisations were already using maps to manage those places. And what we were sort of looking at was the amount of Aboriginal people in that space. So we knew there was a lot of Aboriginal people working in data collection, going out and looking after feral animals, doing tracking of feral animals, or they were doing weed monitoring in different areas around cultural sites. Fire as well. Fire was a big one that Aboriginal people are involved in, fire management regimes for their area. So we just knew there was a lot of Aboriginal people working in that kind of frontline data collection sort of management space. But we're really wanting with our workshops to kind of upskill people so that they move into the more technical level and they start taking the data that they're generating and starting to map it, starting to manage it really well. So we're kind of trying to get people to take a step above the kind of work that they're doing and sort of push themselves into that technical mapping space. And we really approach it from very entry-level mapping. We don't want to complicate it for too many people, but we just want people to realise that they're already working, they're already dabbling in maps, and it's just a matter of taking the next step, training, getting yourself familiar with the kind of platforms that your organisations already use, and just kind of taking some leadership and stepping into those kind of roles and coming to this workshop is one of the steps along that journey.
We are going to come to that workshop very, very soon. That's going to be based in Melbourne. For those that are attending, what are they going to learn? Because a lot of them, as you said, might use some of it, Google Earth or something. So you were just going into the finer detail, is it?
What we do with the workshop is we do a call out first. So we say, hopefully people want to come to an Indigenous mapping workshop, but tell us a little bit about the types of mapping platforms that your organisation is using. And then we tailor the teaching materials specifically to those platforms already. So we know people are using these platforms. Now it's just about getting trainers to match up with those platforms and like really stepping people slowly through learning those pieces of software. So yeah, it sounds complex and sometimes like a bit scary for people, but we've had people who've come to our workshops which are like really basic users, you know, maybe don't even own a laptop. And they come and we give them a loaner laptop and we introduce a platform like Google Earth to them, get them really comfortable about looking at the country that they're from, and then we start introducing like a few little mapping processes that we know of that help you to manage the data that you're generating inside your organisation.
I can see this being so useful for things like safeguarding ancestral burial sites or even the special places that people hold dear to their hearts and to their area.
Like we've had really broad sort of responses to the workshop. So we had a few target organisations which we thought we'd like to target, like native title orgs and ranger groups, but then like language centres have started to come on board because they've got place name projects that they're doing, or like even like performing arts groups who are using mapping to tell stories. And Aboriginal Health was one of them, which was a big one because they manage a lot of data and they're thinking about representing it in different ways.
Also leading into those spaces of cultural healing, you're talking about places, you're talking about locations. Again, it comes back to that mapping.
It's such an amazing subject, and it's also something that's very, very fascinating. Okay, you are holding a workshop in Melbourne. Whereabouts and when?
So we'll be hosted by the Willan Aboriginal Centre for Arts and Culture at the University of Melbourne this year, and they've very generously offered us some space, some classroom-style lecture theatres as well, and yeah, they're going to host us, which is fantastic.
Rightio. And from what I understand when we were talking before, this is a free workshop for those that are attending. Is that correct?
Yep. The 3 days are free for people who attend, but we just ask that your organisation gets you there. We'll take care of the attendees that are there for the duration of 3 days. So we give breakfast, lunch and a couple of dinners as well.
Basically, any association, if it's a council, if it's a ranger group, a health group or anything like that, they get the funding to get somebody down to Melbourne for this course, accommodation I should say, and you look after the rest.
That's right. I mean, just watch this space too. Like last year we were able to offer some travel grants to specific organisations. This year we're really hoping to do that again. We just haven't got final confirmation from our partners. But if people sign up, then we'll come back to you about like whether or not there's travel grants. But yeah, fingers crossed.
And to register for the site or get on to have a look at further details, it's your website that they go to?
Just imwaustralia.com. That's our website that we run. Yeah, there's just an attendee form. So you just click on that and then just fill out a few details about who you are and what you do in Indigenous mapping. And we've also just, by the way, got a call out for volunteers as well in Melbourne. So if you're a GIS person, a mapping person who's worked with Aboriginal communities before, we're really looking for volunteers who can help out our participants to get through the course as well. So we don't just have one trainer in the room, we have like a group of people helping them through the materials and we give people a lot of support when they're at the workshop.
That date once again?
It's the 20th of July this year, 20th to the 23rd. So it's a 3-day thing. And yeah, we're really looking forward to a big event. Want like at least 150 people at the workshop.
Mate, it sounded absolutely amazing. And tell you what, it's something that looks fabulous and could be used by so many cultural groups, organisations, you name it, you've got them covered. All the best for this amazing course that's being held in the middle of the year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. That is Andrew Dowding and also Marinda from Winyama, who of course are part of IMW Australia. It's going to be a great course.